Hello everyone, this is Anna from Savvycat Realty. Savvycat Realty is a relocation and buyer agency in Portugal. We cover the whole country, provide location advisory for those of you who are not sure where to go, and we work from a buyer perspective in an ethical and technical point of view. Today I'm going to talk to you about Aveiro. Aveiro is actually one of my favorite cities in Portugal, and I've lived there in the past and I'm planning to buy there very soon, this year, hopefully. My father's village is very close to Aveiro too. It's about 15 minutes drive, so that is one of the reasons I also know this location very well. So Aveiro has been developing very well, and I really like what they have been doing, the town hall have been doing from a city development perspective. So basically they have been doing a lot of improvements and new construction of the city, but they have been doing it in a very consistent way. So the architecture stays consistent and doesn't clash with the traditional architecture. And they also have been leaving wide roads and green areas, and also, you know, biking lanes and walking tracks and all kinds of things. So it's becoming a very pleasant city from a living perspective. Aveiro is starting to be known as the Venice of Portugal. I believe this is a bit overrated. It's not like it's the Venice at all. It's nowhere close to Venice. It has a river coming by. It's actually a ria. So in Portugal, we do the distinction between sweetwater and saltwater rivers. Ria is a saltwater river. And Aveiro was actually built in big part due to salt mining, and you have the salt plains around Aveiro in the the coastal side, and it's actually a swampy area and a very flat area, so it's a very nice city to walk in. And it has also been developing very well in a cultural perspective and doing a very good job at attracting young families and professionals. So Aveiro has one of the biggest universities in Portugal. I don't know which one is the biggest, if it's the Braga or the Aveiro one, but it's a very big one. And it is very known for engineering and letters, and it's a very renowned university. So, regarding housing and living in the city, you have the central area of Aveiro, where you have, the ria going by, and then you have the fish market and the vegetable market, and you have the forum that is a open air shopping mall, and all that surrounding area is basically the center of Aveiro until the Santa Joana convent. Santa Joana convent curiously used to be a clausura. So clausura basically means that the nuns that were in that convent did not interact or have access to the outside world. So it was basically a closed convent and an isolated convent until it no longer was isolated because the city was growing so much. And the last nun in clausura from the convent on Santa Joana actually went to live in a chapel that belongs to my family. I have a great uncle that was a very renowned clergyman, and so the last nun in clausura from that convent went to live in a chapel in a property that belongs to my family. So just fun fact. So going back to actual relevant things about Aveiro, like I was said, Aveiro is becoming a very pleasant city from a living perspective. It's actually pretty much under construction right now, but that is not stopping the prices from going up at all. The prices have been rising fast in Aveiro, and nowadays I would say that the average price is at 3.5, sometimes 4K if we are talking about the most popular areas. So the most popular and high expensive areas in Aveiro are around the Forum until the factory. So the river goes by, you can view to the river, you have everything close by there, and there's a lot of new developments there. And then the Forca area. So the Forca area is a bit further back, and it's where you have the Loja do Cidadão, so where you have all kinds of public services, you have finances, you have social security, you have the water, the electricity. There used to be a Homes Place gym, but I think it closed. So there's also the private hospital. So you have pretty much a mini city there, and the construction is also pretty new about in that area. There's also some villas and so on. I've 2 weeks ago and so on, I was talking to a friend of mine in Aveiro, and he was completely outraged that a villa that was like a 3-bedroom villa and close to the hospital was going for 1.5 million. That is ridiculously overpriced. Please don't pay that. It's been on the market for a very long time, but in most cases agents will tell you everything is normal. So please do your research, and if you want to overpay for things, at least make sure you know you are overpaying. That's one of the things we do for our clients. So we always try to make sure they know exactly what they are getting into. So like I was saying, Aveiro is a very pleasant city from a living perspective. It's also very practical from a transportation point of view, and that is very relevant for me as I am kind of the nomad that keeps going up and down the country. So Aveiro is about 45 minutes, 1 hour drive to Porto. You also have a direct train line where you have both the high velocity trains like Alpha and the regional lines. The regional lines go usually at least once per hour. In the high hours it goes twice per hour. So it's very easy to go to Porto from Aveiro. It's also very easy to go to Coimbra and Lisbon because the train line connects these areas. So it's a practical location. You also have access to the highways and so on. And it's a fairly central, well, a bit north, but it's still considered center of Portugal. So in the Aveiro you also have a very typical kind of construction, and you can see the pictures that it used to be also a fisherman location, and like I said, developed around the salt mines. And like I also said, the city has done a very good job at maintaining statical line. So to the other side you have the university and the courthouse. So the courthouse square, it's still fairly in the center, and you have a lot of commercial area around that. Then you have the park, and the park is very nice, and you can see a few videos and pictures from it. And that is a very nice living area, but also one of the most expensive ones, like Forca and the Forum area. And to the, well, I never know north and south, I'm absolutely terrible with that. But after that you have the university area that is huge and it goes along the salt mines and highway side. And the other thing that you have in Aveiro is the shopping mall area, so the Glicinias side, which is also mostly new development, but is further away from the center. So it's not, you can walk to the center, but it will be something like a 20 minutes, half an hour, probably more half an hour walk. So it depends on how much you are willing to walk. And you do have buses in Aveiro, but I'm personally not a big fan of buses. So in that area it's better for people who have a car, but you do have everything nearby from practical amenity perspective. So you have all kinds of shops and restaurants and supermarkets, but you know, all the nice things and the popular go out locations are mostly towards the historical center, where you have all kinds of interesting coffee shops and local shops and restaurants. And yeah, you definitely eat very well in Aveiro. So the main avenue in Aveiro is actually Avenida Dr. Lourenço Peixinho, and it goes from the train station down to we call it the bridge roundabout, the Ponte Rotunda, that goes over the river. So this is also a very popular location that is currently under construction, as you can see. But I actually live there in a rented apartment for about a year, and it's well, it's the center. You can walk everywhere. It's a nice location. Other things that I can tell you about Aveiro is a bit more towards the surroundings. You have Santa Joana and Jogueira, for example, that are much more affordable from a cost perspective. You are still able to stay under 2K in a lot of cases. However, development-wise and new construction-wise, things are mostly from the 60s to 90s, so the buildings aren't very nice, and the city planning also isn't very nice. The roads aren't very well taken care of. Santa Joana is a bit better. Jogueira is nice, and it's actually very accessible to Aveiro. You can walk to Aveiro. It's just the location itself, it's not very pleasant to the eye, so to say. So that is the main areas of Aveiro. I'm going to talk to you a bit about the surroundings of Aveiro too. One of the very popular locations that you have around Aveiro is Costa Nova. Costa Nova is once again a fisherman settlement, and is actually kind of on a stretch of land where on one side you have Ria and on the other side you have sea, and you have like 3 or 4 stretches of houses, so it's a very kind of narrow location, and it's very renowned because you have these striped houses that used to be the fishermen armazéns, so the storage, and they used to paint it stripes for some reason, and it just stuck, and people maintained that statical line, so it's a very cute location to go to and very Instagrammable. And I definitely recommend going there to eat some seafood. I go there with my family rather often to eat seafood, and you definitely eat very good seafood there. So in between you have Barra, and Barra is a beach location and sea. I personally find Barra a bit overrated. It's somehow become a popular destination among wealthy people, and prices went up drastically. It has mostly new construction, so that part is nice. I don't think that the beach there is particularly amazing. For example, you have Vagueira, that is, I find actually the beach nicer, and it's much cheaper. And in the Vagueira, for example, you still have the traditional fisherman market where the actual fishermen go there, and you can even, they still do the traditional fishing where they go with the Meliceiro boats and then they get pulled back by the Marinhoa cows, and that fish is then sold at the local market. So Vagueira is very windy, but these locations are very windy from a beach perspective, and if you don't like cold water and wind, you probably won't like it a lot, but they are very beautiful, and it's very nice to go there for a walk and go by. And you still have hot days in the summer, especially now with climate change and warming, things are getting warmer. So it's very nice to, at least visit these locations. Then towards the other side of Aveiro, you have my father's village and so on. So my father's village is Formulã, and it's still fairly cheap there. And although it's like 15 minutes drive from Aveiro, it's a village. It's very much a village. You don't barely have anything there. So it's very cheap there. Prices are rising due to proximity to Aveiro, but you still find things very cheaply. And right next to it, you have the Baixo Vogalamugnar Reserve Area. That is a plain and swamp reserve, and it actually had the most variety of birds and was a very renowned nesting location, so it was great for bird watching. However, due to pollution and unsustainable agriculture and climate change, the bird variety has been coming drastically down, which is sad, but it's still a very beautiful location, and there is still a lot of activities done around that in that area, and it's definitely worth visiting. You will have a bunch of guided tours, and even throughout the Ria and salt mines and so on. So definitely do give that a shot. So I think I more or less mentioned everything I wanted to say about Aveiro. I'm going to make some other videos about the surrounding locations that are a bit further more down the road. Like I said, I really like Aveiro, so I may be a bit biased. But if you do think Aveiro may be the location for you, feel free to reach out to us at contact@savvycatrealty.com. The one who will be answering you is actually my administrative Katia, and the person who works on the field in Aveiro is called Diogo. I mostly overview things and step in from a technical perspective and negotiation perspective, and I always overview everything that is going on in the company. But you don't kind of speak to me every day. You do need to, if you want to work with us from a buying perspective, you do need to schedule an advisory call with me. This call is paid, but it's non-binding, so I will give you all the information and advice that you need to your particular situation, and also inside of the market and legal side and, town hall, anything you need. We record the call, and the call is sent to you for you to review at your own need. And then if you do wish to proceed working with us, the value of the call is deducted from the cost of our packages. All the information of how we operate and our packages is on our website, www.savvycatrealty.com. And we also work with rentals. Once again, we have fixed prices and packages, and we always work from a buyer perspective. So I hope that this was helpful for you, and I would love to hear your feedback on this video, and if any other comments that you may have. We always reply to everyone. So I hope you enjoyed this, and see you again soon. Bye.